Hello and welcome to Eat Art Space, the pop-up dining room gallery from a small town in Appalachia. We are based in Johnson City and I am your host, Jocelyn Mathewes. Today we have an artist talk scheduled with Travis Goyette, the collage artist who is currently in the gallery. In a few minutes, Travis will be joining us to talk a little bit about his work, and I really look forward to talking with him. He also plays in the band Annabelle's Curse, and I'm going to take you on a little tour around the gallery for some of his work while we get him on here. So let's see here. I'm going to try to invite some people to come and join, and Travis is... So, Travis, I've sent you an invitation, and so hopefully you can say hello. There you are!
Hello!
Well, it's really, really good to see you today.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
Yes, yes. So, where are you right now, out of curiosity?
I'm in my den. So, much like a lot of other artists, I work out of my house. Don't have a real studio space, per se, but...
house is a real studio, in my opinion.
It is.
So.
It is. It's actually a music studio right now. So, this is my creative space, and I make electronic music and record my drums in here. And so this is kind of my setup here. No collage material. I actually brought a bunch of stuff to go through some of my source material and show you some of
that's
that,
really cool. Is that what's in the suitcase?
Yes, I got a stack of books. Sorry to all the book lovers up here, out there. I do cut up vintage coffee table books and encyclopedias. So.
Oh, so like you don't scan that? Like I know some collage artists will scan things and then cut them out.
No, I like the sacrifice. I'm not going to lie. It makes it more important.
Are there any particular pieces in the gallery right now that came out of a particular book that you still have? I'm curious.
Yes, definitely. Let's see. I brought some of my favorite, still intact books, because this is, a lot of, just, where I found a lot of stuff that I like, and I put it in different bags to sort it. I do reuse these bags, because it's a lot of plastic.
It's a lot of bags.
Yeah. It's become extensive, and it kind of got to the point where, more recently, I've been doing a lot of stuff out of the books. This is a really cool, I thought it was a Better Homes and Garden, but it's like the practical encyclopedia of decorating and home improvement, but it's a lot of mid-century, or I think it's early 60s interior design, which I think is really fun with the colors and stuff. Mm-hmm. This Smithsonian from 1992 that has a Choluli article.
Oh,
some glass art image out of it. Yeah, there's a picture of his glass on the cover.
So where do you
use
go
this one a lot?
Obtain,
Better Homes and Gardens.
Where do you go to obtain these books and these any particular place?
Yes. So antique stores usually have a lot of books. Book sales, at libraries, are great. You can really get good deals at book sales. That's probably my favorite.
Okay.
And I went with Richard Graves, who I saw was watching.
I think he's on the feed somewhere.
What's up, Richard?
Yeah.
We went to a book sale at a closed bookstore that closed in Johnson City recently, and it was huge. I mean, it was the whole store was selling all their inventory. So found a lot of weird, interesting stuff there.
Very, very cool.
Yeah. So that's a lot of the fun for sure. I love this Life Science Library Mathematics book.
I feel like I remember that book. I'm not sure how I remember that book, but
I think it's 60s.
It's the cover. The cover is very striking.
Yeah, just a lot of really interesting, weird imagery in here that I haven't even used yet. Donut and cup of coffee. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. Just recently got this Poles, Arctic.
So when you go to a book sale, you are looking specifically for books that have a lot of images and on specific topics as well?
Yes. I want it to be curated. I have a lot of magazines, and people give me magazines, and if you ever want to give me your old magazines, I'm into that. Yeah. But I want it to be, intentional. It's not just a random, anything can be turned into a collage. I mean, it can, but...
Yeah, so some magazines are maybe more richer sources of material than others.
Yes, definitely.
So tell me, and forgive me, I'm under the weather today, as you can probably hear.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It kind of came up on me really fast. But so when you are thinking about constructing a collage, do you find a particular image that you want to work with, or is it more like, so I'm going to flip these things around so we can like talk about some of your stuff. So over here we have these three circles, and I think the unifying thing for each of these is that there's a color scheme.
Right.
But I don't necessarily, I mean, these are in contrast to this other one over here. This is the hotel glue stick surrealism.
Right. Yeah.
Which feels a little bit more representational, even though it's definitely like, you have these little orbs and things, and I'm trying to, look, you can see me in there. Hi, everybody. But it's more like there's a mountain or a monster or spheres or whatever, and then you've also got over here you're constructing a landscape.
Yeah.
But it's more torn. So talk about the tearing versus the cutting and what you decided to do with all these different approaches.
Okay. Yeah. So
there's some torn and some cut in here. You know, there's a mix.
Yeah, and so the cutting came first, I think, with a lot of people. You know, the first thing that you might do with collage naturally is make something really surreal that you might cut out like a big kitten face and put it on somebody's body. And I've done a lot of just kind of, you know, it becomes easy to make absurd imagery.
Yeah.
And then, so after a while, I wanted to try to make things that were actually like beautiful and not just absurd. And that's kind of the direction that I've been pushing in. And so the torn paper, you know, I wanted to make something that was aesthetic, and did a landscape first, saw some torn paper landscapes, and then I just kind of like thought it would be cool to make the round edge on those spheres. And so I decided to theme them. You know, there's the flower one. That one's all ocean imagery.
Oh, neat.
I did one out of reptiles. There's one that's all lizards. And so...
oh, I don't know if I've seen the lizard one. I was looking around here. Then you have the green one over here.
Yeah.
Which
that
has
one
this
stands off on its own. I don't know where that came from.
You don't know where that came from? Well, because you've got this really interesting plants in this one.
Yeah. And that, the imagery, the landscape on there is 5 different exposures of the same view, which I thought was a cool idea. You know, kind of about perspective.
Yeah.
It's like the one on the left is like the lightest, and then it goes around to the darker exposure.
Oh, I see. So it goes in this big circle.
Yeah, and that's from a photography book. But yeah, I mean, obviously I love nature, botanical stuff. It's just so so appealing, so relaxing to look at that kind of imagery.
Can you talk a little bit about, I know at the artist talk, you mentioned that you moved into wanting to make beautiful things. And so talk about the difference between wanting to make absurdist things versus beautiful things, where that comes from for you.
Yeah, I do love making absurd things. It is really fun to make really weird and absurd things. But, you know, when I was inspired to make a lot of beautiful stuff when I found out my wife was pregnant, was having our first son, like I just really wanted to do like an optimistic series. And that's where, that was when I was discovering torn paper technique. And that's where the landscapes and the spheres were all made in the same kind of period leading up to my son being born. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's just trying to appreciate nature and, you know, make something that is beautiful and represents like a hopeful, you know, like sometimes, you know, the world seems absurd and I want to make absurd art, and I want to make something that's just like, you know, not, I don't know. So yeah.
Do you have any examples of particularly absurd art that is somewhere in your stash? I mean, you've got...
Oh gosh. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff that I have never posted on the internet that I've made. Made a lot of stuff for years and didn't share it. So, you know, like I said, it's easy. I think as a collage artist, that's like an easy go-to, and it's really fun to make something really wacky. And that's what a lot of collage is, honestly.
So what prompted you to start sharing your collages online?
Well, I just started making more of them. I just got more, and so I was like, okay, I've been doing music, and playing live, for years. And so, you know, I had been sharing stuff for a few years before the pandemic, but of course, like a lot of other artists, I made more art. I was inside my house, just hanging out. But yeah, I've been on this journey for probably 5 years or so. And then just more recently got to the point where I felt like the work was good enough to share.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how do you feel the collages in this process relates to your other creative outlets?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, expression. I think being a musician made transitioning to art easier because it's like just being comfortable with flow and creativity and just the understanding that you don't always feel inspired. You just have to sit down and start, and, you know, inspiration will find you. I think that's something that took a long time to figure out with music. And so when I started art, it was just like, okay, I'm going to get my materials. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to create something. It's going to happen. And I think that's one
thing. So you had already
about
experienced what that process felt like in a different medium.
Right.
So when you came up against like roadblocks, you were just like, oh, okay, this is
right, like
part of the process.
And you see some stylistic changes. That's one big thing. It's like, if I'm bored, I'm going to change my style if possible to try to, you know, make a spark somewhere else. And I don't mind to switch my style.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not really concerned about establishing like a set style that people know me for. I know that's really important for marketing, but I don't like, if it catches on, then I'm sure people will associate me with that. But I want to try a lot of different approaches.
So this is free exploration for you. This is not meant to be, you know, it's an open creative space. It's not a solidified one. Do you feel that way about your music as well, or is that a little different?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, you know, so I have a solo project and I'm going to plug that. I have an album that's coming out.
Ooh, when is it coming out?
This fall. I don't have a release date, but it's finished. It's mastered and mixed. And so, my solo project, I go by Mendota, and it's going to be an electronic album, that I composed right here.
Nice.
And with this, MIDI keyboard right here that controls my computer and stuff. And I use Ableton Live, and yeah, it's 12 songs, and the collage in your space that's called Fool's Gold that has the torn and cut imagery.
Mm-hmm.
That's the album cover.
That's the album cover here. I'm going to do that. And where do people follow you to learn more about that? This is the album cover.
Yeah. So I'm going to work that up digitally and probably frame it in.
Nice.
And, you know, maybe put some words on it and make it an album cover.
It's very cool.
So yeah, I do have a SoundCloud account. I don't have Spotify. This will be my first real release for this musical project, but I'll have all that posted on my Instagram account.
Which is collage_drummer, or do you have a separate account for your music?
No, that's the only account I'm going to be promoting with. I don't.
Okay.
Thought about might make an account for the music part eventually, but you know.
Yeah.
I'm just going to use that for
start small.
That. Yeah.
Start small.
And yeah, I don't need more channels to manage per se. You've heard about my debacle with my last account, so.
Yeah, that was a real shame. I mean, I feel like that kind of thing is happening more and more with people, where like people understand that the account got hacked, you know, or that it gets lost, and it's becoming such a common thing that I think we're developing a way of moving through it, but
yeah.
It still stinks big time.
Yeah, it does. It's not fun.
Excuse me. So that project is coming out in the fall. Do you have any other projects that you would like to plug that you're currently working on, whether they be collage or performances or other things that are going on?
Let's see. Yeah, well, I'm still playing with Annabelle's Curse as the drummer for Annabelle's Curse.
Okay.
So we're playing Rhythm and Roots coming up locally. And so everybody.
That's in September, right? Correct?
Yep.
Up in Bristol.
Just a few weeks away.
Nice.
September, I think it's like 9th through 12th or something along those lines. And so that's exciting. Love Rhythm and Roots. That's been a big part of, allowing me, like I said, just doing the music thing made art seem more possible because I'm already in that space. And it's like kind of starting that process can seem really daunting, I think, for a lot of people, of expressing yourself in a public light. And so I love music. I love the scene. It's like, it's very different than the art scene, but at the same time, it's the same.
Tell us how they're different. I'm curious.
Well, I mean, just the format is different.
Yeah.
Music typically takes place in bars or festivals, more chaotic environments. Art is a much more like low-key experience when you're having an opening. Just touring. We used to tour a lot. Used to play a lot of shows out of town. Still do some of that, and that's just a big adventure. Getting in a van with your friends and driving from town to town.
It's very experiential, and art is a little more, depending on the type of art, it can be a little more solo and
yes.
And there's performative aspects to it, but not as intense.
Yes.
So,
and, most of the stuff was just made, at my house. The Hotel Glue Stick Surrealism was made in a hotel in Nashville. And so I have done a little bit of, trying to
bring things along with you while you're traveling.
Yeah, so I just used glue sticks and some small paper and just did it on the desk in the hotel.
Now, were you involved in any artistic endeavors? I'd say visually artistic endeavors earlier on in your lifespan.
Yeah, definitely. I took some watercolor classes in school and just was always interested in art. I guess probably in a way a lot of kids are. I never really got serious with it for a long time, just dabbled in it here and there, made a lot of stuff. And like I said, just kind of my primary focus was music throughout the years, but I've always wanted to express myself more through art.
Well, I think that you've definitely succeeded.
Yeah, well, hopefully so. I've had a lot of fun doing it. It's been a really cool series that you do. Just really refreshing from the other events that I've been a part of. It's just like felt very connected to the people at the show, and just like, yeah, it's been cool.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Check it out. We got a Laura Blankenship.
Oh, you got Laura. Did she live paint you?
Yeah, this is a painting of us as Annabelle's Curse. I'm just a little. This is me
you're
here.
You're a little dude in the back there.
And some hair and a nose.
Drumming.
But yeah, that was this an original.
Oh, that's so great.
And she just like hooked me up with this years ago, so it's a really, really awesome keepsake.
Oh, that is so great. So yeah. That's Annabelle's Curse, live painted by Laura Blankenship, who has been through the gallery already.
Got some
I wanted to take a moment to plug these collages, that if people decide that they want to take them home, you have priced them what I would say quite affordably, and they're so cool, and I want people to take them home. So all of these are available on the website, and of course you can just stop by anytime and come and take one off the wall and
yeah,
just bring it home because you ought to. So
yeah, and I don't do a lot of prints yet. So anything that you buy is probably not going to be a print. That's it. Probably just one original.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can see it's like the edges right there. You can actually reach out and touch everything, except on the ones where you got them behind glass. I like this one because it sort of reminds me of all of the sci-fi outer space stuff that you see on TV, especially from that era of the 60s where you end up, like the Doctor Who TARDIS and floating in outer space and cheap special effects and all of that.
I love, vintage sci-fi. Yeah. It's great. It's a great source. It is a little absurd, like you said. So it's, it just has that like cheap, like, quality to it. Like, and that's easy to do with collage. It's easy to make it look like out of place.
Yeah, but it's fun. It's a fun process.
Yeah.
Are there any other people who you want to give shout outs to right now, or any other things that you want to really emphasize for our audience today?
I've got a project going with my friend Andrew from Idle Tones, or his project is called Idle Tones. We did live electronic music at Laura Blankenship's event at Spark Plaza recently, and that was really cool. So we're doing some of his songs and some of my songs, and then some collaborative pieces that we're doing with, another guy, Kurt Bagnall, that's in the band. And so that's a new
nice
project that we're kind of getting some of our electronic material out there. A lot of great local artists in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Morgan is an amazing painter, so it's really cool to be part of this show with her.
Yes, you were paired with Morgan Blankenship, and so I'll flip this around and just say, it's funny how, her work is entirely imagined, but when you look at them right next together, it's like there's a color scheme thing that's going on with these paintings. So, and it's worked out really well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like I can get lost in so many of her pieces. It's really cool.
Yeah. So, I want to encourage everybody to stop by while the show is still up and to take home some collages. There are several that I am coveting myself right now. So,
thank you so much. It's like just getting it out there. It's a huge thing. This is, like I said, just the most feedback, and like I've done some just hanging up my work in different places, never done an opening, so it's been really awesome to be a part of this.
Well, and that's the thing that makes me always feel that's the best thing about an artist, and that's something that you get with music and performance. Like, you get that instantaneous feedback from the audience, either coming along with you or not, or whatever it is. And when you're making something and then showing it off when it's finished, that's a different dynamic, and it can be really hard to know if it's good or not at the end, because you don't get to see people responding to it live, or and maybe they really enjoyed it, but they just couldn't like purchase it and take it home, and it's so amorphous. But having these openings, I'm trying to make it so that people can actually relate to the artists themselves and ask direct questions. Because when you go to a big museum, you don't really get to do that. Most of the artists are dead. So
yeah.
But anyway, this has been a delight. Are there any other people that you want to shout out to before we go take a lunch break?
Just my wife for always supporting me. Allie, she's a school counselor and just an all around amazing person, and helps me in so many ways and is a muse. And then just being a father has been really cool, and it's been difficult to collage with a 1-year-old because they want to get into everything, but it's totally worth it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Kids are totally worth it.
Yeah.
So, they are as messy as they can get. Well, thank you so much for having your pieces in my space, and everybody needs to check out Mendota at Rhythm and Roots in September, right?
Well, Annabelle's Curse at Rhythm and Roots.
Annabelle's Curse at Rhythm and Roots.
I'm going to drop an album from Mendota.
Okay. All right. You're dropping an album from Mendota, Annabelle's Curse at Rhythm and Roots, and then this show is up through September 30th.
Yes.
So, yes.
Yes, a lot of creativity happening this year, and it's a good year. So
yeah, thanks for keeping me straight, because I was like, all the things,
Too many projects.
There's a lot of projects going on, but that's good.
Notes for this for all my different projects. So
no, it's great, and feel free to you shoot me some messages about stuff so I can make sure that we link everything. So
yeah, for sure.
All right, thanks so much, Travis. You have an excellent day.
You too.
Bye.